Are you a thoughtful leader? Maybe you are. Maybe you think you are. Let's find out. I'm Mindy Gibbins-Klein. I'm author of The Thoughtful Leader and host of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. Thoughtful leadership is all about thought leadership that goes above and beyond. Thought leadership that is truly new and original, exciting, disruptive, maybe even groundbreaking. Because let's face it, we need to raise the bar. My guests and I are absolutely obsessed with finding truly original thought leadership, and I'm going to bring you so many exciting ideas and opportunities, things for you to think about, and chances for you to push your thinking that you'll be very glad you tuned in. So thanks so much for checking out Thoughtful Leadership and the Thoughtful Leader podcast. I look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Welcome to the show. My guest today is the amazing thoughtful leader, Stuart Harris. You are going to love this. You're going to find out some interesting things about Stuart, but also about life. And I'm so excited. Stuart, welcome.
Thank you, Mindy. Very glad to be here talking with you.
We've known each other a long time, and yet there are so many things that I feel I don't know about you. And I think that's the nature of life. Unless we spend lots and lots of time with people, it's impossible for everyone to know us completely at a deep level. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, I guess part of it is that even if you spend a lot of time with somebody, that person is getting a particular version of you. You have to spend a really, really, really long time with somebody to see them in all contexts. So I know that, for example, with my wife, I think regards herself or prides herself on being a joker and a bit of a laugh. But that's not so much the side of her that comes out in our relationship. And I'm sure the same applies the other way around. Because we're like moons or planets or something. We show a different side to different people. So, yeah. So not surprisingly, we've known each other for a very long time, but we haven't spent a huge amount of time together.
Well, hopefully we'll spend more time together in future. We're involved in the BIP 100 Club. We're involved in lots of business organizations. And yeah, you're just always there in my sphere of influence, which is lovely. One of the questions that I used to ask my guests, and I haven't asked this for a while, but I think you'll do really well with this one, is related to what we've been talking about. And that is, what is a common misconception that people have of you, Stuart?
So one that has slightly irked me over the years is people talk about me as an intellectual, like a kind of brain on a stick type of thing. And I'm very physical, actually. Physical experience is really important to me. And reflecting on physical experience. So maybe that's the intellectual kind of bit. It's a bit like my middle son, who's double first maths or Oxford maths graduate. So he is a big thinker, but he is like super physical. He trains capoeira 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. Dances, Latin dance and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people have the idea that somebody who is a thinker, who is clearly thoughtful, is either not practical or not physical, and that's not the case with me.
Brilliant. Oh, that was delightful to listen to you explaining that, because thoughtful has so many different meanings and so many shades of gray. Yes. And yeah, it's not mutually exclusive to be practical or physical. Yeah. So thinking about that, you use the word reflection. Yes. And we write about reflecting on things. So encouraging people to reflect, because in this society that we're living in, I think it's so fast-paced that people either forget to reflect, or it's not part of the way they operate, and they're just spinning the plates. What do you think about that?
Sadly true. And I don't think reflection need take a whole load of time. It's not like you've got to sit down and ponder, 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 ponder. I think it's a skill that, like any skill, if you practice it, you can learn to do it quickly and well. Because just because it happens quickly doesn't mean to say that it needs to be that it's going to be shoddy, quick and dirty type of thing. Somebody who's really skillful, and you must have seen this in all sorts of domains, somebody who's really skillful can do whatever skill they have, they can exercise that skill quickly and well. And so I think that's true of reflection. But I think there's partly a thing about time. So people say, I don't have time, which I think is nonsense. It's really, I'm not interested in doing it, or it feels too hard. So could you repeat your question? Because I feel as if I've just kind of wandered off a little bit.
No, it's just the fact that it seems to me, people don't tend to reflect on things as much because of so much going on, etc.
Yes. So I think that one of the things that's happened in our hyper-connected, supersonic world is we get fast takes, quick, hot takes, instant reactions to things. So, see it, react, next. It really doesn't take hugely much longer to go, see it, what's this? To think about it and to just allow it to percolate. It's almost like, count to 5 before answering. It's almost I'm not saying it's as simple as that, but it's that kind of process rather than just instant reaction all the time. This is the big problem. We're all instant reaction. There's so much instant reaction. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winning, 2002 Nobel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thinking fast.
Thinking fast and thinking slow. Thinking fast and slow. So his thing about, the fast thinking is intuitive, and intuitive is really useful. The modern life discourages us or disincentivizes us from reflecting, stepping back and thinking, now what's that really about?
So you are a rare breed, and I won't call you an intellectual because you said that's something that you don't want to be called, but there is No?
That's okay. No, I'm just going to allow that to land and see, rather than reacting to it.
Yeah, the word attention, which is in your domain name, I think that could be a key. I think, most people have to have the intention to pay attention. Absolutely. We talk about this a lot here.
Yes.
And some people don't know how to do it. They don't realize they're not doing it. They think they don't have time.
Yes.
But there's a big payoff. I think from what I've seen of you, and this is what I would love for you to teach a little bit now to our listeners, is taking that time to pay attention to things and getting better and honing that skill, in fact, does pay off. And so you may not have as many interactions or actions or as many fast-paced, activities. But what I get from you is that it's quality and not only just quantity. Would I be right?
You are so right, Mindy. Yes, yes, absolutely. And so what was coming to my mind as you were talking about paying attention, all that kind of stuff, it can sound kind of dry and eat your greens type of stuff, right? But for me, it can be like walking out of the front door and noticing a bird in the tree and just paying attention to that bird and enjoying hearing the sound of the bird and the movements, and then think, I haven't seen a bird do that movement before, or it's not the sort of bird I think it is. In other words, I'm really focused on it. It can equally be, I'm a linguist as well, and it equally be hearing the details of somebody's accent when they talk. So I'm not waiting to say my bit, so of course, the best one is, or that reminds me of the time that such and such, because I'm here, I'm paying attention, I'm thinking, that's that accent, that's unusual. I haven't heard that before. And I listen some more, or a way they use words, something like that. So it's, for me, it's I suppose you could say it's like getting the most out of the moment, out of the interaction. Maybe almost in a greedy way, but certainly in a I don't want to rush through this. This is interesting. I want to get it.
It's interesting that you used the word greedy, because I was listening to you talking about what is commonly called nowadays mindfulness.
Yeah.
And you certainly were talking about it and writing about it. When did we meet? Nearly 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But you haven't used the word mindfulness. And then to add the word greedy, is there such a thing as greedy mindfulness? I mean, selfish mindfulness.
Well, I guess, there's all sorts of stuff around definitions. What is mindfulness? For me, and I don't use the word mindfulness, it's not a religious thing. I just don't find it particularly relevant. Mindlessness, there's plenty of that around. But so I meditate pretty regularly, 5 days, 5 out of 7 days or something like that. And part of that meditation process is to notice the way my mind is working, what's happening, whether it's, I'm distracted, or I've just noticed the cat walking past, just notice what's happening in my mind. And part of that may be noticing how that I have agreed for experience, for example. So I don't know if that's greedy mindfulness. It's mindfulness noticing that I have greedy tendencies. I'm not greedy for loads of money, but I am greedy for certain things. I want more of certain things.
It's such an interesting word, greedy. It has, such negative connotations. But I'm going to focus on the word noticing, because that is what thoughtful leadership is about: mindfulness, meditation, and paying attention. So one of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about here at The Thoughtful Leader is the fact that if people have a meditation session, or if they sit down to reflect, or they sometimes just empty the mind and things come and they notice, then they don't always do something with that. And I think you've latched on to one of the core tenets here, which is using that awareness, using that insight to solve a problem, to take you to the next level of whatever. How do you use that in your life? So, after, when you stand up after meditating or whatever, how does it benefit you?
I think it benefits me on multiple levels. So, caveat here, I don't go into it thinking, right, I'm going to do this because I will get this, that, and the other out of it. I go into it with curiosity, thinking, a load of people have said this is a good thing to do, so I wonder if it is. If there is one phrase that is typical of me is, I wonder. Yeah. So what I have noticed is that through the practice of meditation and related things in my daily practice, I notice thoughts or sensations or urges coming up. I don't know if it's as they come up, but I notice them coming up. And that's beneficial because it means that I kind of gives me a space between impulse and action. So then I can say, is this actually what I want to do? I have the urge to do this. Is this actually what I want to do? Yes, do it. I have the urge to do this. Is this what I want to do? No, but I'm going to do it anyway. But so at least it gives me a little kind of, so that's one thing that I see as a benefit. But it's also, I find that it's, so I do about between an hour and an hour and a half practice a day between meditation, breathing practice, and various, a physical practice. And I've found that it's almost like, I call it my lab because it's when ideas come to me. So I'm not kind of trying to keep my mind empty, but I'm just noticing what comes up, and things come up, my mind wanders, everybody's mind wanders. And so a lot of ideas come to me in that time. So, and it comes up from nowhere. I mean, where do ideas come from? And it just bubbles up. And, oh, that's interesting. And I just stay with it. And because I'm on my own, and I've given myself the time, then I can stay with the idea and see if it sticks around, or see how it develops, or just move on to something else. So, the short answer is it's a great time and a great way of generating thoughts, of generating possibilities.
And that is exactly what we're interested in here, or curious about, or in wonder. So the idea is to allow and to notice, create the space, and pay attention. So these are all words that I associate with you anyway. What would your biggest tip to listeners be? Because, our listeners are busy professionals and entrepreneurs. They have busy lives. They've taken the time to listen to this episode. So what would you like to say to them?
So these are not my words, but they're words that I remember. There's a very well-known guy called Timothy Galway who created the inner game, or the idea of the inner game. Yeah. And so I saw it was a video of him giving a talk. So he said, we are all enrolled in the University of Life. Some people say, I didn't go to have education, but I went to the university. We are all enrolled in the University of Life. All of us, of course. Right. And we all have the greatest teacher, which is experience. Whether you learn anything at the University of Life and how and what you learn at the University of Life depends on the quality of attention you pay to the teacher, which is experience. Right. So, University of Life, greatest teacher of all, experience. Pay good attention to the teacher.
I love that. No, he's the perfect guest, isn't he, listeners? So we've been waiting for this episode all year. This is, I don't know when people are listening to this episode because they download it or they listen again or so. We can't say it's spring or it's winter or anything like that. But if people are looking to start something new, and this is a time of rebirth, one could say, or just stuff emerging. We've been through an interesting time.
Yes.
What would your best advice be about that?
Well, I would say, okay, so we are actually talking on February the 9th.
No, we're not allowed to say that.
Whenever we're talking, any time is a good time to start. Any time is a good time to start. Any season is a good time to start. Okay, if you're waiting for the right season, you're waiting in vain, as you're doing the wrong thing. And so to start something, I would say this is purely from my perspective. Plant seeds. Plant small seeds. I mean, seeds are always small anyway. Plant seeds, and by which I mean start doing things, and see which ones grow. Which ones you want to pay attention to. So you may start 5 or 6 different things, and one of them will grow more or attract your attention more than the others. What does it need? What could that become? So that's the way I do it anyway. And so follow your interest, follow your attention. The other thing you mentioned earlier on, which is about intention. So there is a combination, I think, to be had, a combination of. So, what is catching your attention and what could be your intention with that? Yeah. Yeah.
You can have both. I mean, we do have both. So we have intentions, whether we're aware of them or not, because some people are, as I say, on autopilot. Yes. And, if you have the intention to improve the quality of your attention, yes. I'll be practicing that phrase, then, yes. You can actually begin to see more and learn more. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's about, I think part of it is about not sleepwalking through life. So the difference between somebody who is just progressive, moving through life with just sleepwalking, and somebody who may look as if they're doing the same thing, but is not sleepwalking. Well, what is the difference? One of them is actually more able to savor the experience, more able to learn from the experience. And, sooner or later we get to the end and it's like, well, what did I do all that time? What was it? Was it just a dream, or is it something that I was actively engaged with?
Life is but a dream. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. So I think on that note, we'll start to wrap up here. You've been a delightful guest, and I've really, really enjoyed tapping into your ideas and the insights. Yeah. Who are the people you would love to hear from after this episode when they listen to you? What kind of people would you love to connect with you and reach out to you?
So I love having conversations and interactions with anybody who is interested in life, I guess, who is interested in the experience of being alive in all its different ways. People who don't take things for granted. So I have a request. I love conversations. I'm a big believer in conversations. It's a very creative thing that anybody can do. You don't have to be an artist to have conversations. And I'm really open to anybody who would like to have a conversation, a substantial conversation. It can be a substantial conversation about light things, about TV shows, because I watch plenty of TV shows, about music, because I listen to plenty of music, about the meaning of life, because, we all have thoughts about that, about anything, because it's not what you're talking about, it's how you're talking about it. So anybody who would like to have an open-ended conversation, a rich conversation, please do get in touch.
Wow, that was dramatic. Thank you for sharing that. Ta-da! So please, everybody, if you're listening to this and it's touched your heart or soul or mind in some way, do look him up, do reach out to Stuart. And I think who knows where it could lead. That's what
exactly. I'm That's the beautiful thing about it. Who knows where it could lead?
I think this has been a very special episode. Thank you so much for joining us, Stuart Harris. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Thoughtful Leader, and I hope it's inspired you to be more thoughtful as a leader in your business. Please consider subscribing and leaving a review. An important question for you. Do you want to create a culture of thought leadership in your organization? My best-selling book, The Thoughtful Leader, is available now on Amazon and many other sites in paperback, ebook, and audiobook formats. Please visit www.mindygk.com for more great content. That's www.mindygk.com. Speak to you again soon.